Welcome, everybody, to Shadow Pass Annual General Meeting on this rainy Monday, celebrating 19 years of Shadow Path. We are specifically focusing on our past fiscal year from April 2021 to March 31st, 2022. Before we begin, I'd like to pass it over to Anne for a land acknowledgement.
For land acknowledgement, we celebrate the work and lives of our first artists, the first storyteller, and the first history maker, who have been forgotten or ignored as time marches on. We acknowledge these early creators that lived on the lands we are now occupied. These are the traditional lands and territories of the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation, the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe people. The history of those people that previously cared for this land, the story they told, the lives they lived remain an integral part of it. In illuminating the voices of the forgotten, we hope to forge a bridge between all people, creating a better, more inclusive world where each of us is heard and our contribution acknowledged, commemorating and remembering. Our mission here at Shadow Path is to educate the public's understanding and appreciation of Canadian theatre by 1, representing dramatic performances, 2, providing workshops for the benefits of the public on such topics as the Canadian plays, new works, and performance. We are a nonprofit organization shadowing playwrights by remounting their plays, building new artists' path for the creative citizen in all of us to emerge. In 2003 is the year that we established as a nonprofit, and it's founded by Alex Caroli, currently the artistic director. In 2012, this is the year we obtained our charitable status. Giving you an update on our board, we have Jackie Lazar is the chair of the board. Dexter Chu is the vice chair. However, he will be leaving the board after 4.5 years with us. Next, we have Bahar Rasuli and myself. Tu and Lam will be moving into the co-chair position, co-vice chair position. The role of secretary is staying with Georgia Burgerton. We also have a new board member, Faith Howe, who will join the board in April 2022. We would like to thank our recently resigned board member, Michael Schuster, who served almost 8 years on the board and resigned earlier this year, as well as Dexter Chu. Now passing over to Bahar.
Shadow Path Theatre Productions. Shadow Path Theatre Productions was founded in 2002 as a means to bring professional performing arts experiences to underserved communities, specifically York Region, Ontario, Canada. It has since become a charitable organization. Shadow Path develops new plays and produces unknown classical works by women in site-specific locations and everyday spaces, while providing professional platforms for underrepresented artists. April 2021, we presented 2 virtual showcases, a culmination of our 5 months Theatre Making 101 initiative funded by the Ontario Arts Council. Sessions were led by Chantal Ford, Ali Reza Shojai, and Anahita Debonnet. 3 Sisters Who Are Not Sisters by Gertrude Stein was our virtual play in partnership with the Newmarket Library. May was a big month. We introduced our festival Theater Out of the Shadow with Ross Rivas, Sapiensha, a radio drama directed by Maisa Becerra. 2 versions were offered, PG rated and R rated, for the first and last day of the month. 4 virtual workshops were offered: virtual theater making with Chantal Ford, sound design with Maisa Becerra, playwriting 101 with Marjorie Chain, and dramaturgy with Yvette Nolan. We presented The Wedding Day as a virtual play in partnership with the Newmarket Library, and relaunched Exit and Illusion as a virtual play on Vimeo, as well as the featured play for our play reading club. All in-person programming was postponed due to the lockdowns. June, Ramon's story was kept as a virtual live stream due to COVID, despite numerous attempts to stage it in person. Directed by Patricia Serra, we use OBS Designer and integrated dance clips to bring Ramon's story to life, as well as offered a talkback session facilitated by T. Nugent with Romans and the creative team. July finally saw Marita Bonner's Exit and Illusion portrayed in person after being delayed for 2 months due to lockdowns. This occurred on the porch of a heritage home at Black Creek Pioneer Village, directed by Aaron Jones. We received the good news that TD Bank Group was going to fund our first youth apprenticeship for 6K. August was a busy month, featuring an Indigenous play reading, The Unplugging by Yvette Nolan at the Cartwright Center for Conservation, directed by Rhonda Lucy, and The Wedding Day by Elizabeth Inchbold, poolside at the Thornhill Club, directed by Alex Crowley. Our AGM was held virtually in September and announced Julian Welsh as the Artist of the Year. October took Shadowpath to Hesperus Village, where we organized an outdoor costume parade with treat bags and hot chocolate. Chantal Ford introduced the characters in the Vanderhofen heist, and audience members asked questions about their motives and advice. Our script reading committee began again in November with Chantal Ford, Maisa Becerra, Katie German, Jillian Welsh, and Trina Moyen. We presented a murder mystery at the Thornhill Club, which featured Shadowpath performers playing characters alongside country club members. December was Shadowpath auditions. We received approximately 30 submissions to cast 6 plays. Our virtual play reading clubs was relaunched with Aaron Jones facilitating and Maisa Becerra supporting, and featured 1907 play Votes for Women by Elizabeth Robbins. January, we presented Susanna Slatlever, The Adventure of Venice, virtually in partnership with the Newmarket Public Library. The Board of Directors live streamed our Ontario Trillium Foundation grant announcement with MPP Christine Elliott. The Toots Script Reading Committee selected Kamluta by Kim St. Clark Harvey for our Indigenous play reading. Our youth apprenticeship program kicked off with Jess Vicarcio and Nina Elizabeth, who decided that Stories of the Alphabet Community would be their youth events and Shadowpath's first Pride project. Our play reading club featured 1700 play that though defeated by Mirapix. February's Play Reading Club highlighted 1928 play episode by Eulalie Spence and involved readers worldwide from LA, Montreal, Australia, Johannesburg, and Arizona. Alex Crowley was asked to present a 25-minute virtual talk about Shadowpath to the Canadian Federation of University Women. We received excellent news that the Newmarket Community Action Table, CMHA, and United Way awarded a 10K grant to Stories of the Alphabet Community. March, Shadowpath returned to the Thornhill Club with plays in cafes featuring 2 short plays by Alex Crowley and Marielle Hossain. Music was performed on saxophone by Sean Dera. The Vanderhoofen Heist was filmed in one day at Hesperus Village, directed by Chandra Pepper and filmed by Faith Howell. Our play reading club featured 1931 play Can You Hear Their Voices by Hallie Flanagan. Pass it over to Dexter.
Good evening, everyone. Just showing screen briefly, and I will come back to it. As you know, Shadowpath has always been very innovative, led by a very creative director and team. And what I'd like to share with you is the Shadowpath short and long-term strategic plan to bring you new experiences, to be a little bit more inclusive, as a more inclusive organization, and to bring you and expand our programs. So what I'd like to do is share with you the short-term 1 to 3 year strategic plan. We have some very interesting stuff coming around the corner. So there are 10. The first one is we have new site-specific play development in new venues. That's indoor and outside. Second, we have programming for specific demographics. For example, women, Indigenous, BIPOC artists, and the LGBTQIA2S+ community. In-person training and e-mentorship for female artists and local youth. 4, securing space for a multi-use artist hub in York region. 5, virtual platform for artistic discourse and workshops and expressions. 6, hybrid virtual and in-person festival of classical works by women. 7, murder mystery re-exploration with new and current community partners. 8, new funders. Number 9, create and present digital immersive roaming projects using technology. And lastly, secure a gallery as a new community partner and venue. Well, let's take a look at our 3 to 5 year long-term plan. These are very exciting stuff. And again, trying to be a little bit more innovative. So the team is going to bring you within the next 3 to 5 years, plays in cafes, rebranded as a multi-town, multi-city summer festivals featuring past and present apprentices as the creative team. 2, secure operational funding. 3, develop an international artist exchange program. 4, spearhead the multi-use space hub venture. 5, storefront programming. And lastly, podcasts and radio dramas documenting hard to access classical works by women. So lots of exciting initiative and programs coming to you. So keep an eye out for new updates on our newsletter or on the Shadowpath website. And next, I'll pass it back to Jackie.
Thanks so much, Dexter. I get the privilege of doing Shadow Path math, which I'm sure is everybody's favorite subject. Before I share my screen with some of the bigger numbers, I'd just like to thank Stephanie Chung from Penny Legion Chung LLP for their review engagement and Blue Sky Accounting for their assistance with our financials. Much appreciated to both companies. I'm going to just share my screen. Excellent. So I've just highlighted some of the higher level numbers, but I'll go through some more specifics. The net assets ending our fiscal year in 2021, so that's March 31st, 2021, were $3,012. The revenue at year end was $135,448, as opposed to fiscal year 2021, which saw revenue at $50,000. There is a note that almost $67,000 was deferred from fiscal year 2021 to fiscal year 2022's budget due to COVID's postponing and rescheduling almost all projects. No shocker there, I think, for anyone that runs an arts company. Revenue is broken down as follows. Grants, $93,235. Foundation, fundraising, and donations, $32,168. Workshops, commissions, and events, $10,448. These are great numbers. Shadow Path's largest expense was program costs, coming in at $115,711, which largely goes towards artist fees. And current projected budget for fiscal year 2022 is $220,000 even, and is based on two main projects, festivals, as well as various workshops and community initiatives. And now I will pass it over to Georgia.
Would help if I unmuted. Yes. Okay, thank you, Jackie. I will hopefully find what I'm looking for here. I'm going to go through the policies and protocols. And anyone correct me if that's not everything that I have, but let's hear it. In 2019, Shadow Path created 6 policies: Code of Conduct, Copyright, Equity, Conflict of Interest, Pregnant Artists, and Anti-Harassment. In 2020, we included an anti-racism policy. And in 2021, we created a safety plan in response to the pandemic and implemented COVID protocols for all in-person performances. Policies and protocols can be found on our website, shadowpaththeatre.ca, and all Shadow Path artists and personnel are expected to be familiar with these policies. We will review all policies and protocols of board meetings and update as necessary. As well, we will continue to consider other policies to include and implement at Shadow Path. No new policies were created in this fiscal year. And now, as you heard a little bit in the beginning, there is a significant amount of board development happening. Shadow Path began board development workshops during the pandemic. These included anti-racist leadership in the arts workshop by React Canada with Dr. Janelle Joseph and Jody Glean. That was fantastic, by the way. Radical accessibility in the arts with Sarah Magny from That's Showbiz, and mental health and mindfulness with Zanib Abdullah from Wellnest Psychotherapy Services. We have 3 additional workshops lined up, including leadership skills for October 2022, Indigenous awareness for August 2023, equity, diversity, and inclusion for January 2024. We're lining it up, folks. We will continue to add to this list as we consider how to build a strong foundation of governance and support Shadow Path's board of directors. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to, drumroll please, no drum roll, Shadow Path 2019 Artist of the Year, Maisa Basada.
Hello. So sorry about that. Thank you very much, Georgia. Um, we're going to do in memory of Shadow Path's Artist of the Year, which is named after former board member Marlene Samuel Cephas, who was the original board member of Shadow Path from 2003 to 2013. Marlene was a well-known Newmarket resident and founder of the Spotlight Theatre School, as well as the nonprofit organization, the Voice Impact Project Theatre Troupe. Marlene was known for choreographing pageants, fundraisers, and musical theater for children, teenagers, and adults. She was also a playwright whose work traveled to the Toronto and London Fringe Theatre Festivals. Marlene was a huge supporter of Shadow Path and a major artistic influence for Shadow Path's artistic director, Alex Caroli, from the young age of 13 when Alex studied dance with her. Marlene died November 5th, 2015, after a long battle with cancer. The Marlene Cephas Award is presented to Erin Jones for her work with Shadow Path during an unprecedented time when Shadow Path was experimenting with how to bring the performing arts back as a live, safe experience. Erin first began with Shadow Path as a virtual performer in 2021 Harlem Renaissance play Exit an Illusion by Marita Bonner. She went on to direct and design this play as Shadow Path's first launch back into live performances since the pandemic. This piece was presented outdoors on the porch of a heritage home at Black Creek Pioneer Village for 2 performances in July 2021. She additionally participated as a photographer for a few Shadow Path performances and took over the facilitation of Shadow Path's virtual play reading club before becoming the festival designer for Theater Out of the Shadows 2022. Erin's versatility and resourcefulness has made her a regular Shadow Path artist. We are thrilled to present Erin Jones as Shadow Path 2022's Artist of the Year. Erin!
I'm kind of speechless. Thank you. And I have my reward to show off. Oops, sorry, wrong one. I'm speechless, but I do want to show this because it's beautiful. And can everyone see that? I don't know if everyone can see it, but I kept it in the box because it's kind of hard to see otherwise. I'm trying to see if I can. No, it's a little bit blurry. We'll see if we can adjust that in a moment. But I wanted to just say it's just a delight and an honor to receive the reward. And the year was a busy one. And with all of the things going on in our world that have been just so incredibly, I don't know what to say. It's been a surreal year. But despite that, we've had an amazing year of theater, and I've had the opportunity to act and direct, do costumes, set design, and be in several innovative productions that were outdoors, online, in film, and immersive within communities. And it's been amazing. In addition to facilitating the play reading club, which was fun, inspiring, and educational. And as I'm sure many of you that I've worked with know, I have a passion for plays that represent our whole community with dignity and authenticity. So I want to thank Shadow Path for giving me so many opportunities, and I look forward to contributing more in the future. And I'll just see if I can adjust video settings quickly here, because I do want to show this beautiful, beautiful thing off. Let's see. Okay, I took the blur off. So, ta-da! I'm thrilled. Do you know how it's not common to get recognized? Often, especially as a BIPOC artist, sometimes you're just seen in the background. So to be recognized just makes me want to cry in such a happy way. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, and don't mind my messy office. And Maisa, if I can pass it over to you, and I'm looking at all the hearts on the screen. Thank you.
We're going to do the Master Stats Tracker results now. Master Stats Tracker was launched on April 1st, 2021 and offered every Shadow Path artist the option to participate in an 8-question paid survey, sharing their information as well as their suggestions for future Shadow Path programming. The survey collected information about their age, identity, geography, race, birthplace, and more. This allows Shadow Path to see who we are engaging and where we can make improvements. It's one thing to say we are a York region-based company, but when the majority of our artists hail from Toronto, as the stats reported, the question of who do we serve takes on a new precedent. 53 artists were engaged at Shadow Path in the fiscal year 2022. 87% participated in our survey. So I'm just going to share the results here. So to keep this moving, I'm just going to read the top 3% of everything. So we had what gender do you identify as? Females 57%, male 41%, and other 2%. Where do you live? Toronto 46%, York Region 28%, and other 26%. What is your age? 16 to 30, 43%, 31 to 45, 41%, and 46 to 55, 7%. Specify your ethnicity. Caucasian, 33%, African, 24%, Asian, 13%. Do you identify as LGBTQ2SIA+? No, 70%, 22% said yes, and 9% chose not to answer. Do you have physical limitations? 83% no. And then sight and other were both 4%, and 7% chose not to answer. And then what languages are you proficient? English 73%, Spanish or French 10%, and Spanish, Mandarin 2%, and Arabic 2%. And then people were born 67% in Canada, and then Africa, Europe, and America tied at 7%. So I will like to pass this back to Bahar.
Okay, thank you. Now, FAB funders and community partners. Our funders for fiscal year 2022, okay, the Ontario Trillium Foundation Resilient Communities Fund at $75,000, the Ontario Arts Council Artists in Communities Program at $12,400, the Canada Council's Digital Original Program at $5,000, New Horizons for Seniors Program $25,000, TD Bank Group at $6,000. Our community partners were the Newmarket Public Library, the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority, the Thornhill Country Club, Raleigh Art Gallery, Hesperus Village, with a special thanks to Ovation Performing Arts Academy and Tots Showbiz. Thank you.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. Hi everyone, I'm Alex, the Artistic Director of Shadow Path, and I'm going to chat a little bit about the future path of shadows. Well, it's been 19 years of the shadowy path. It's hard to believe. We have come a long way, and things are, despite a few little hiccups, things are really moving quickly around here. There's a lot of balls in the air that we are juggling all at once. What I will say is we're currently halfway through fiscal year 2023. And so far, we have received more funding as far as grants go in just half of this year than we've received in the past 2 years combined. So, and yes, I know that those past 2 years were a little trepidatious, to say the least. However, that's very encouraging and motivating for us at Shadow Path to know that there is a future of Shadow Path and what that might look like. I think we have recently broken new ground in festival work, both through our youth apprenticeship and through our programming classical works by women. So both of those are going to continue for sure, at least for the foreseeable near future. And this might be something that we combine, and that will be funding dependent. If we get enough funding to run these as 2 separate festivals, we will do that. But if we don't, then we will blend our youth apprenticeship to work alongside the development of our Festival of Female Classical Playwrights. So that's all good and exciting. We have received notice that TD Bank Group is coming back to sponsor us again. So that's our first banking funder, and it's a really good sign that they are sponsoring us for year 2 of the Youth Apprenticeship Program and giving us almost twice as much as what they did in year 1. So very positive signs. And what else do we have? Yes, Dexter mentioned a bit when reviewing the strat plan that we were pre-pandemic really focusing on securing our own home base in York Region. However, and we did actually write grants that we did not receive. And at the time I was upset, and now I'm very happy because it would have been very challenging to try to start a home base during a pandemic. So we are still in a bit of a pause when it comes to that, because we are still uncertain of where we stand, even pandemically. So we're going to reevaluate that next year and see if that's something we can move forward on, and to offer programming in a continual venue that we can share with other artists in York Region, as well as exploring how to innovatively offer performing arts in all different kinds of spaces, indoors, outside, maybe not virtually. I feel a little virtually exhausted. So maybe we'll not quite prioritize virtual programming, but we certainly will investigate digital hybrid programming, for example, using iPads as part of a live theater experience. So that's something we experimented with this past spring, and something that we're going to continue to explore moving forward. So we still do not have operating funding. I'm going to put in another application next month. That will be, since 2016, we've been actively pursuing operating funding from arts councils, which is part of the problem, because actually most of Shadow Path's revenue does not come from arts councils. This will help us to stabilize and to be more sustainable as a company moving forward, because regardless of all the projects we're doing, there are some costs that are just simply operational, like insurance, like accounting, like our annual review, our audits, regular staff, which is actually very important to have a company grow. So one thing that has been brought to my attention that I've been bringing up casually with the board of directors, but I think something we're going to have to really start to prioritize, is reevaluating our mandate. Because our mandate, as you might have heard Tu-Ann say at the top, it's very general. which I liked because everything sort of fell under one umbrella. Like you could pretty much do anything with public presentations and workshops for the general public. But the feedback I'm getting from arts councils is that it's not specific enough. And we need to identify who we are, answer the question why we're doing what we're doing, and make it more of a compelling mandate. So I think that that needs to be happening in our near future to actually secure operating funding. So mandate focus is what I'm going to say. And the other thing I want to mention is about leadership models. So you heard Georgia say that we're doing a leadership workshop as a board next month. And there's a conversation currently in the performing arts industry about old traditional modes of leadership, where there's one person at the top kind of has a vision, calls the shots, and then there's different tiers of that support that vision. So even with our co-chairs, which are now going to move to 2 people instead of 1, with Bahar and Tu-Ann stepping on as co-chairs. We did this also with the secretary role. I really think that we need to move towards a model of leadership that is shared. So we look at co as collaborative, a collective of people, maybe more than 2, maybe 2 or 3. Let's not get crazy, but let's share leadership and vision and decision making with more than 1 person. So I'd like to do that across the board with the board of directors, with Shadow Path artistic director, executive managers who we would love to bring on board once we have operating funding. This to me is a more realistic model, especially for performing arts, which we're all in a gig economy here, more or less. So to have it all drop to 1 person is, I think, kind of difficult to manage. If something happens to that 1 person, where do we go from there? So I think having a micro team of leadership is something that I'd love to see Shadow Path move towards in the very near future. That's a future path of shadows. Now, what's coming up next in the very, in the very near future, what is coming up next is a very spooky presentation. We have a very theatrical month in October, and Shadow Path has been invited by one of our favorite community partners, the Newmarket Public Library, to come and haunt the aisles of the library after hours, so that we will be bringing some of the ghost stories that exist on the shelves of the library to life right before your very eyes. And this is an event we actually did in 2016, and the library has invited us back to present it once again with some updates, some new stuff, and also some true local ghost stories. So I just released tickets today, actually on Eventbrite and on our website, shadowpaththeater.ca. So we have that coming up on October 28th. As well, the York Region Arts Council has invited us to open their Artists Circle on October 12th at 5 p.m. at the King Heritage and Cultural Center. So Shadow Path will be honored with an award that they gave to us, the Community Engagement Award. And we will be sharing an excerpt from our production, The Dream, which we presented out in the woods in May 2022. So you can see it's still, somehow I thought this was our down season, but we're still somehow busy doing things at Shadow Path, but it's all very exciting. It's all very positive, and I am motivated to move forward and see what the future path of shadows looks like. Jackie?
Thanks, Alex. Exciting stuff. So just before I get to closing remarks and thank yous, I will mention that there were no updates to our bylaws in this fiscal year. And so moving forward, we will be we'll be reviewing, not receiving, a portion of our bylaws at each board meeting to consider any necessary changes, just in case folks are wondering about why the bylaws weren't specifically addressed today. And just before I sort of close it off, I would like to take this opportunity to thank a few people. So one will be our patrons who came out to our events this year and have supported ShadowPath throughout the pandemic. We appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you at future events such as the Haunted Library. Go get your tickets; they're on sale today, which I just found out now. I would also like to thank all of our funders, our sponsors, and our donors and community partners. We could literally not do this without you and your generous support. Finally, I'd like to thank the folks in this virtual room with me, the board of directors. Thank you for your tireless work, positive energy, and support. I'd also like to say a congratulations again to Erin for our Artist of the Year. So well deserved. So happy that you received this award tonight. And for tonight, thank you for all of you who joined us. I believe that the virtual AGM recording will be available until December 31st, 2022, and will be accessible via our YouTube page and our website, which is shadowpaththeater.ca. And next year, for our 20th year, big 2-0, we aim to have an in-person AGM, and so I think we're all going to be looking forward to that and celebrating together as a board and as a community of artists. If our board of members do not have any final words, then I will pass it back to Alex.